Hi, so I was watching or listening to KFI this morning, and this individual gets on and he starts talking about Thanksgiving and its connection to Barack Obama. And at first, when he made the connection, I was like, where on earth is this individual going? So I kept listening, and he comes up with the idea that because Barack Obama, in his view, is trying to take down America and is trying to destroy everything our founding fathers stood for, that he is thus un-American and wants to destroy America and make it legal to kill babies or something like that. And still, at this point, I was like, okay, what does this have to do with Thanksgiving? And trust me, I'm getting there. It gets more entertaining as it goes. And he starts saying all these things that basically he just wanted to destroy everything our founding fathers stood for. And regardless of whether he did or not, I would like to make one thing very clear. For the time and day that the founding fathers were around, they were extremely liberal for that time. Okay, Jefferson, Washington, all of them, John Hancock, they were all extremely liberal for that time. Can you imagine trying to revolutionize a country? That is not being conservative, okay, babe? That is extreme liberal. At that time, people were like, what are you doing? This is insane. You cannot do this. Like, democracy won't work. Yeah, they were liberal for their time. Have liberal ideas changed? Of course, because liberal is always going to be about the new stuff. But I just wanted to make that clear that, okay, first of all, there is a huge connection between Barack Obama and our founding fathers. They're both freaking liberals. Second, he starts talking about how he's pissed off that little preschoolers and elementary school kids learn the story that pilgrims came over and the Indians helped us cultivate land and helped us out, and that we massacred them. He's pissed off that it says that we killed off the Indians, which we did. We completely massacred their people and kept moving them around. I mean, where did this guy get history from? Anyways, so he starts getting really emotional about how he's just so mad that anybody would ever say that we massacred them, or that they helped us in cultivating the land. And that what really happened with Thanksgiving is that the Indians didn't help us. We helped ourselves. The pilgrims helped themselves. They came over, and because they were just such strong individuals, they persevered and they cultivated the land and they forced themselves to become better. And I'm seriously thinking to myself, okay, how did they learn how? No, that's not what happened. Okay, no, I'm going to be honest. The Indians and the Pilgrims obviously did not sit down together, round all each other up, and have a little nice Sunday brunch together. No, obviously, that's not what happened. But what did happen is that, yeah, when the Pilgrims first came over, they didn't know how to cultivate the land. What grows in Europe doesn't grow as easily here in America, and what grows as easily here in America doesn't necessarily grow as easily in Europe. So the Indians saw us dying, and thus tried to teach us how to cultivate the land and try to make corn and try to help us out. They were being really great to us. And at the beginning, our relationship with Native Americans was extremely well. It was good at the beginning, and then we screwed it up like we do everything else in history. But hey, we're only human, right? So anyways, he goes on to say that the reason that we have Thanksgiving is because the Pilgrims, once they persevered so much, that they had so much plentiful food that they just didn't know what to do with it all. So they thanked God for it all, and they were just so thankful, and that it was because of them that they had done it. Okay, first of all, I know that little kids' elementary classes and preschool does teach you that it was the Pilgrims and the Native Americans that did start Thanksgiving. It wasn't. It was Abraham Lincoln. So, I mean, this guy is talking about how the pilgrims started Thanksgiving when it had nothing to do with them. And I'm thinking to myself, he's talking about how he talks about this in a book too, a book that he's published. And I'm like, okay, you're a professional. You're not just the average Joe the plumber on the street talking about history. No, you're a professional on the radio spewing this stupid ass crap that you obviously don't know anything about. You don't know the history of really Thanksgiving or really America, and you're claiming to be so for America. Like, are you kidding me? And so he goes on to say that it was George Washington that instilled Thanksgiving. Okay, George Washington did not come across on the Mayflower, and that's how he made it sound. That George Washington was like, oh, look at all this plentiful food. I need to make Thanksgiving. Let's invite over the Native Americans. We'll have a little fiesta. No, okay? George Washington was not a part of the Mayflower. He was definitely not around at that time. He showed up much later, okay? And I mean, my goodness. And anyways, I would just like to clear up his little mistake on history. First of all, like I said before, Abraham Lincoln is the one who created Thanksgiving. And it was his way of thanking God for getting the Union so far through the war. On that day that he had chosen, he had a few thousand turkeys killed and given to his troops, to his men, and it was the best meal they had had in years because they had been eating this horrible bread and this disgusting coffee, and it was just the worst food that you can imagine. Terribly, that had no nutrients. And he gave them turkey, and it was a day for them to be thankful to God for getting them so far through the war, for getting the Union so far through the war. And on that day, it was also a day of peace because the Confederacy decided on that day, okay, we are not going to attack the Union. It was a day of peace. They decided to be honorable and to not attack. It was a great day in history. But no, okay, Thanksgiving had nothing to do with the Pilgrims. It had nothing to do with the harvest. It had everything to do with the Civil War. But obviously you're not going to teach that to little preschoolers who just want to do their little play for their parents. You're going to teach them about the Pilgrims because that's a simple little history. The Civil War is a complete jumbo mumbo of history. Like, you have to be ready for what the Civil War is about to throw at you. So obviously you're not going to teach that to little kids. Apparently this man has taken his form of history as a child, warped it into something completely else, and has decided, oh, no, this is history. I've decided I will write a book, and thus this will be history. And I don't know, I don't think that just because you say so, that it is.